Hello, my name is John and welcome to my Gamester81 arcade channel, and I will be reviewing a classic arcade game which is a sequel to one of my favorite arcade games of all time, which is Donkey Kong. And this particular game is called Donkey Kong Jr. So let's take a closer look. This is Donkey Kong Jr. for the arcade. I'm actually playing this on my cocktail arcade table. In the opening sequence here you have two Marios, which I'm really confused on. I don't know why there's two Marios, but in this game there are. And they have captured Donkey Kong from the original Donkey Kong arcade, and your goal, you play Donkey Kong Jr., or DK Jr. for short, and your goal is to save your father. Nintendo released Donkey Kong Jr. in the arcade in 1982, a year after Donkey Kong. Now keep in mind, Donkey Kong was a very successful arcade game for Nintendo, so it was really up to Shigeru Miyamoto and Yoshio Sakamoto to really develop a sequel that would really live up to the Donkey Kong name. I believe they did it. This is a really fun game. It is very challenging. I kind of cheating here actually. I'm starting with 6 lives where usually you only start with 3. The reason being is because I'm absolutely terrible at this game. I'll be the first to admit it. I'm not nearly good at Donkey Kong Jr. as I am at Donkey Kong 1. Donkey Kong Jr. is also the only Mario game where Mario is actually the antagonist. He's the bad guy. Here's the second stage in the arcade port. You'll notice that there are 4 stages in the arcade. And there are 4 stages in the various home ports, where they're released for ColecoVision, and Television, Atari 2600, a lot of classic computers. The NES port is probably the most well-known home port as well, but the sequence of all 4 stages are in different order than what the arcade here has. And also, the ports don't necessarily have the cutscenes unless you're playing the Atom computer version, or maybe some of the advanced Atari computer versions of this game. In my opinion, this is probably one of the hardest stages you'll see, because you have various enemies. You have the snap jaws. They almost look like bear traps with eyes, and there's 2 different colors of those. There's either the red, which actually climb up and down the vine or the chain in this particular level. You also have the blue, which will just drop straight down. And the object of this particular level was to get all the bolts into place and release your father. And here's a cutscene where Donkey Kong punches Mario, and he goes away, and then it just continues to repeat itself. And as you go on and progress as to levels, you're going to unlock certain stages, 2 more levels as well. When you're climbing up on a vine or a chain, depending on the level, you can either use 2 ropes to climb up. It's going to be a lot faster than if you're just using 1. But if you're going down, it goes a lot faster when you're using 1 than if you were using 2. So Nintendo is kind of smart in a lot of strategy developing the game in that sense. So it's kind of hard. And the enemies, just like in Donkey Kong 1 arcade, are random as far as which vines they go down and how they act. When you're switching ropes, it is kind of slow, so you gotta be careful, and you can't fall from a rope, because if you fall from a rope or vine, you're gonna die. If you fall in the water, you're gonna die. And just as I did that, just as I did there, you can't switch fast enough, unfortunately, in some cases. We're gonna fast forward here to the 3rd stage. This arcade port is the hardest version of Donkey Kong Jr. by far. There's a shortcut. You can jump on the spring and jump right on the 2nd platform, like I just did. And those are nitpickers. Those birds are flying. They're also in the ones with the chains and the locks I showed you a level earlier. And there's a pattern to how they fly. You just got to memorize the pattern. And you get points by collecting fruit. You get 400 points by hitting the fruit. If the fruit lands on your enemy, you can get 800 points. If it lands on multiple enemies, you get more points, etc. and so forth. Because I just killed one of them there. I'm not playing this game for points necessarily. I just want to show you, see how far I can get. Ooh, that was close. How about timing? I just did it. You have no really necessarily any attack in this game. You can only jump. And there I did. Now that I've done it, and we're going to go on to the next stage, which is back to the chain and lock stage. I'm back at this stage with the chains and locks, and I'll tell you what, this is a very challenging stage, at least for myself, and I've been playing this game for hours, trying to get you to show you the 4th level of Donkey Kong Jr. And unfortunately, I just couldn't do it, at least during this review. The 4th stage, there's a whole bunch of sparklers. There's different platforms you're supposed to jump on and avoid the sparklers, and you're supposed to go up and get Mario or Donkey Kong as well. Perhaps another review, I'll get there someday, but for some reason, I kept getting stuck on this one stage. It was very challenging. As for other games that Donkey Kong Jr. actually appears in for Nintendo, he's a playable character in Super Mario Kart for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. He's also, if you're familiar with the Donkey Kong Country series, he's actually Donkey Kong in that game grown up, and Cranky Kong is the older Donkey Kong, which we see in Donkey Kong 1 and in the cage in this game here. Overall, I'd say this is a really good arcade game. It's very challenging, which makes it fun and makes the play value for me go up, because I want to definitely try to get to the next stage. However, in some parts it's super frustrating as well. I definitely enjoy Donkey Kong 1 much better than Donkey Kong Jr. I wouldn't say this is as good as the original, but it's definitely a good follow-up. The music is definitely classic. I really enjoy the music, and if I were in the arcade and I see this game, this is definitely one I'll put quarters into. But for me, it just does not live up to the first Donkey Kong. Hope you guys enjoy the review, and we'll see you soon. Take care.